Dream Team, it's your boy Neal, back with another reaction video, guys. Here we are with the average cost of groceries in Australia versus America. We've done a video comparing grocery prices America to UK, America to Germany, and both times in America, we spend a lot more than the other countries. So we're finna see America versus Australia. I'm very intrigued. Before we do though, make sure you subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bell, get a video a thumbs up so it gets suggested. If you guys got a favorite video suggestion, you can subscribe to Patreon, drop it in the comment section. Oh my god!
G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Kaitlyn and I'm an American living in beautiful Sydney, Australia. So this video is inspired by another YouTuber. Evan Edinger is a Jersey boy, now a British.
And that's the video that I watched when America UK groceries were compared to each other.
By another YouTuber. Evan Edinger is a Jersey boy, now a British citizen living in the UK, and he did a price comparison of grocery costs in the UK compared to the US. And I know so many Americans who, as soon as you start talking about living in Australia, talk about the expensive cost of living here. So I wanted to see, is it really more expensive to buy groceries over here in Australia than it is in the States? So grab a Bicky, grab a cuppa, and let's see where groceries cost more, America or Australia. So I was trying to save a lot of money when I was living in the States to move over here, and obviously over here, my partner and I are saving up for a house down payment, so we're trying to keep costs as low as possible. So I looked at this from the practical American and the practical Aussie's point of view. I looked at two grocery stores that we typically go to. Over in the States, we went to ShopRite when we were in Philly. There were a couple other places too. Acme, which can be a little bit more expensive. There were Save-A-Lots, and obviously there's Aldi, but obviously Aldi is so different than your regular grocery store to an extent. You're not going to find anything name brand or whatnot over there. So I figured let me take a look at ShopRite, which is all of the generic but also all of the name brand type of items that I used to buy over in the States. And here in Australia, I picked Woolies because that's where me and my partner do the bulk of our grocery shopping. Once in a while, we'll go to Kohl's for something specific, but I figured the average everyday Aussie isn't running to 2 or 3 grocery stores for the most part every single week. They're pretty much...
Well, I'm just, when I see these videos, I'm like, I guess I grew up, because of the area that I live in Texas, I grew up thinking that Walmart was like the most common grocery chain in the nation. I thought, well, but it can't be, because whenever I see these videos, like, they're never comparing Walmart to any of these grocery stores. So I'm like, I guess it's just, is it just a Texas thing? Is Walmart mainly a Texas thing? Is it not the biggest grocery store chain? I used to think so, but I'm starting to really doubt it at this. After watching so many food price comparison videos, I'm starting to doubt if Walmart is the top grocery store in the nation.
Isn't running to 2 or 3 grocery stores for the most part every single week. They're pretty much going to one grocery store and getting the bulk of their items there. Reality is most Americans have one grocery store they go to, same with Aussies. So I picked Woolies over here in Australia and ShopRite over in the States. Also, it's tough to find an American grocery store that goes all around the entire country. You have things like Trader Joe's, but they have very specific and sometimes really odd products. Sometimes you'll have Whole Foods, which is also known as Whole Paycheck over in the States. Whereas here in Australia, Kohl's and Woolies are national chains. You'll find them all across Australia, from Tasmania to Perth to Brisbane. They are everywhere. And last point I want to make before we jump into these numbers, you have to remember a lot of the cost of living also depends on where you live. So my partner and I live in Western Sydney. We don't live in like the worst parts of Western Sydney, but we're also not in the nicest parts either, too close to the Blue Mountains. So we're in a pretty average suburb over here in Australia. Where I was over in the States, not necessarily the richest neighborhood whatsoever, not necessarily the best or the safest neighborhood either, so grocery prices actually tend to be a little bit cheaper than in some other areas, even across the city, let alone across the states over there, at least the states where ShopRite was available. So you have to remember the cost of something at a Woolies in Western Sydney might not be the same as it is all the way up in Brisbane or all the way out in rural Northern Territory somewhere. So I picked the prices of the places where I've lived try to keep this as non-biased as possible and try to just make it practical. So without further ado, let's get into the prices of these. I've done enough talking, explaining of my process and my thought process and why I did all of this. So let's get started and actually look at the price differences between American and Australian groceries. Just for the sake of this video, to keep things simple, I'm going to do everything in Australian dollars. Most of my viewers are Aussie, so let's be real, it's a little bit easier for you guys than me to try to explain to the fewer amount of American viewers that I have, so I'll keep everything in AUD. I will have the USD prices listed up on screen as I go along, but everything I'm saying is in Australian dollars. A loaf of generic white bread, like non-brand regular white bread over at Woolies, cost $1.90, whereas over in the States that would cost $1.87. So we're talking a 3-cent difference. It's really not that much. It's certainly not going to break the bank. We're talking the difference of 3 pennies. Because America still uses pennies. Now looking at a head of
I think we the only country who does still use pennies, bro? Like, pennies come in handy sometimes. They come in handy sometimes. But yeah, that's like the cheap $1.19 I saw in US dollars. That's definitely one of the cheapest loaves of bread you can get.
Difference of 3 pennies. Because America still uses pennies. Now looking at a head of lettuce, if I'd done this video 6 months ago, the price over here in Australia would have been astronomical. I remember at its highest it was $6.50 at the Woolies where we shop at. I heard it went up to $12 for a head of lettuce over here in some places. So right now, currently a head of lettuce costs us $2.50 at Woolies. That same head of lettuce is going to cost you $3.12 over at ShopRite. So it's like a 62-cent difference on the same head of lettuce, and lettuce isn't necessarily purchased by weight. You just purchase a head of lettuce, so you could buy the big one, the small one, it's still going to cost you the same. But when I was looking at the potatoes, it's a little bit tougher to come up with an exact difference because we're talking different kinds of potatoes, and they're also sold differently. A lot of people I know will buy the large size bags of potatoes instead of just buying them individually. So a 5-pound bag of potatoes over in the States, if you bought 5 pounds of potatoes over here in Australia, say you found a bag that was like 5 pounds, it would be $7.83, but you are actually getting like one more potato because of the weight. I think they're sold in 2-kilo bags, might have been 2.5, but I'm pretty sure it was 2-kilo bags over here in Australia, and that 2-kilo bag goes for $5.50, so we are talking about a $2.33 difference, but you're also getting an extra potato, so take that for what it is. Now, tomatoes were a huge price difference, but I think part of that is because obviously in Australia the seasons are flipped. We're going into summer here. Produce is easier to find. It's just more abundant in the summer. Things like tomatoes and berries are going to be cheaper now than they would have been 6 months ago. And over in the States they're going into fall, so things like apples and pumpkins and squash are going to be a little bit cheaper and a little bit easier to find. So one tomato...
I never really paid attention to all that. I guess it's because a lot of these foods I honestly don't buy. Like, I'm just not a vegetable guy at all. Potatoes, if I'm gonna buy, like, if I use mashed potatoes, I would just buy like where I just got throw it in the microwave mashed potatoes, or because I'm lazy. When it comes to cooking, I choose the easy way out, and I'm okay with that. So I'm not used to buying a lot of this stuff. But dang, the difference in those potatoes was crazy.
Squash are going to be a little bit cheaper and a little bit easier to find. So one tomato over in the States is going to cost you $1.57, whereas that same tomato over here costs 65 cents. You could actually buy 2 tomatoes over at Woolies right now for less than the price of 1 tomato over in the States. So Rice Bubbles cereal was the first one that caught me up because it was actually on sale over at ShopRite. So Rice Bubbles and Rice Krispies, for anybody who doesn't know, are pretty much the exact same thing. Same color, same company that makes them, same mascot, just they're called Rice Bubbles over here in Australia compared to Rice Krispies over in the States. So a box of Rice Bubble cereal is going to cost you $5 over here in Australia, whereas regular price, that would cost you $6.61 over at ShopRite. But if it was on sale, if you were lucky enough to walk into ShopRite when they were on sale, it's only $3.14. So you're saving a good bit of money right there. It's like almost $1.80 that you're saving if you can grab it on sale, but if you're looking regular price, you're actually paying $1.60 more for that same box of cereal. A lot of houses need sugar.
That's a gigantic sale. I ain't gonna lie. For it to drop like that.
You're actually paying $1.60 more for that same box of cereal. A lot of houses need sugar, and I always used to buy the larger things of sugar because I also bake and would go through it pretty quickly. So a 2-pound bag of sugar over in the States would cost you $4.22. That same amount of sugar is going to cost you $1.90 over at Woolies. Not on sale. You can buy double the amount of sugar over here in Australia and have it be cheaper than 2 pounds of sugar over in the States.
What the heck?
This one I thought was going to be a lot more comparable than it was. So a 2-liter gallon of milk here is the same as a half gallon of milk over in the States. And that 2-liter gallon of milk here is $1.90. That half gallon of milk over in the States is $5.01. So almost a $2 difference again. So it's not
19 and I guess if you're keeping the brand comparisons like middle of the line brands,
ounce for ounce, milliliter for milliliter, obviously, but it's very, very similar. Almost a negligible difference for that much of a price difference. If we're talking like a couple cents or even like 10-20 cents, they'd be pretty much on par with each other, but that's a huge difference for such a small amount of product. Next up is olive oil, which we're actually running low on, and I need to put that on my grocery list to pick up soon. So a 500 ml bottle of the most generic olive oil you can find in the stores is $6 at Woolies, and that same 500 mils is going to cost you $7.05 over in the States. Garlic has gone up in price, guys. I haven't bought garlic in a while. Like typically we buy the jarred pre-minced stuff, but if you buy a full bulb of garlic, it's going to cost you $1.45 at Woolies. That same bulb of garlic is going to cost you $1.57 over in the States. So very, very small difference. I mean, it's a difference of 12 cents unless you're buying a lot of garlic heads in bulk. It's not really going to break the bank for most people, but the price of garlic has definitely gone up. So beef mince, also called ground beef over in the States. 500 grams of beef mince over at Woolies costs you about $7, whereas that same amount is going to cost you $8.84 over in the States. And we're not talking organic, grade A, certified. We're talking like the most generic 500 grams of mince that you can find at ShopRite compared to Woolies. So nothing fancy, nothing organic. Meat's definitely gone up in price. We all know this. Along with that one, 500 grams of chicken fillet, as it's called over here in Australia, which is a chicken breast over in the States, but a chicken breast over here in Australia is actually 2 chicken fillets still together. Buying meat is very, very different over in Australia compared to America, believe it or not. I could probably do an entire video just on the differences of buying meat in Australia compared to America. Maybe I will.
That's the video right there that I would relate to more, because when it comes to my eating habits, I feel like I'm very carnivorous. There's got to be some kind of meat, I guess, in every meal. Pause. But I'm not there. I don't eat veggies. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I don't ever drink milk. I rarely use milk, but I'll use it sometimes. But that's almost it.
An entire video just on the differences of buying meat in Australia compared to America. Maybe I will. If you guys be interested in that, let me know in the comments below. But 500 grams of chicken fillet is going to cost you $5.25 here in Australia. That same 500 grams is going to cost you $7.05 over in the States. So again, we're talking about $1.80 difference. That's huge when you're buying chicken a couple times a week, or if you have a big family and 500 grams is not going to feed that family for one meal and you have to buy multiple packs. That really does add up over time, you guys, even though it seems very, very small. Imagine if you were spending an extra $1.80 per week. It does add up over time. So cake mix is tough to compare because brand names aren't the same over here, and you can't really find like the most generic types of cake mix over at ShopRite. Everything's brand name, whereas over here you could literally buy bags of generic vanilla or chocolate cake mix. So I looked at the cheapest cake mix I could find over in ShopRite, and that was actually on sale at the time for $1.57.
Oh,
Regular price, it's $2.
you got Pillsbury. That's name brand. That's good. Pillsbury's good stuff. I definitely love you some Pillsbury.
And that was actually on sale at the time for $1.57. Regular price, it's $2.34. And at Woolies, you can buy a bag of cake mix, the same amount of cake mix, for 90 cents. And you're saving like 67 cents when it's on sale. You could buy more than double the amount of cake mix over at Woolies, and it'll still be cheaper than cake mix over in the States, at least at full price. And finally, I wanted to throw in one thing that was American, one thing that was brand name, so you guys could see just how much of a difference it is if you're buying something that's brand name that you can get in Australia and also brand name in America. So if you want something sweet, a pint of Ben & Jerry's is going to run you $6.28 on sale over at ShopRite. Regular price, it's $7.83. Whereas here in Australia, that same amount on sale is $9 Australian, but full price, it's $13 for a pint of Ben & Jerry's. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not paying $13 for a pint of Ben & Jerry's. There's so much more out there. Like, I'll take a Golden Gate Time bar that is way cheaper, or like one of those Peter's drumsticks that tastes just like the Nestle's drumsticks you can get in the States. They're so much cheaper than spending $13 on Ben & Jerry's.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Here you go, guys. The total price
I
of
wouldn't
these...
even pay the American Ben & Jerry's. Give me the cheaper pint of ice cream, the cheaper brand name ice cream. They be getting out of hand with these prices, man. But yeah, in America, like, these food prices, bro, I'm going to the grocery stores and I'm seeing it. I'm like, bro, like, this is crazy. I'm not walking out. Luckily, I'm only having to feed me. But, bro, if I had to feed more than me, it'd be a struggle. It'd be a real struggle.
I'm spending $13 on Ben & Jerry's. Here you go, guys. The total price of these groceries when added up, if you're buying everything regular price, not on sale, it's going to cost you $54.15 over at Woolies. That same amount is going to cost you $64.91 over in the States. That's over a $10 difference for one grocery run, for one grocery bill. Imagine $10 every single week. $520 more to buy that same amount of groceries over in the States. Now, I know some people are like, well, what about the sale prices? You said some things were on sale and it seemed to be a little bit cheaper in the States if it was on sale. Don't worry, I've got that covered too. The sale price over at Woolies, it would have been $50.15. That same sale price would have been $59.12. So we're still talking about a $9 difference when it comes to buying things that were on sale. So that's it for this video, you guys. Did any of this surprise you at all? If it did, please let me know in the comments down below. I know a lot of people are going to say, well, it's not just the price of groceries that make living in Australia so expensive. Yes, that's true. Obviously, cost of living is a little bit pricey over here in Australia, but you know what? There are a lot of hidden costs to living in the States too. So when it comes to groceries, it looks like Australia does tend to be a little bit cheaper than it is in the US right now. Obviously, as I said, you can't compare every single grocery store in the US to every single grocery store over here in Australia, but as somebody who lived in Philly and moved to Western Sydney, who lives in pretty average neighborhoods and suburbs, that is the average price of what groceries would have cost me in America compared to buying the same exact things over here in Australia. That's it for this video, you guys. If you liked it, please hit the like and subscribe button down below, especially the subscribe button, because it really does help support me and this channel. I really do appreciate it, you guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.
At this point, I'm not surprised, bro. I feel like we've got to be our groceries have to be the most expensive in the world. At this point. Every time I see a price comparison video, we just pay more than other countries. Like, our groceries have to be the most expensive groceries in the world. And that's baffling. But that's all we got. You guys got a favorite video suggestion? You can subscribe to Patreon or drop it in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel, ring notification bell, get a video a thumbs up so it gets suggested. Social media, Patreon, all up top. You know, subscribe to any of it. Put all the links in the description. All you got to do is hit the link, follow me, talk to me. Love talking to you guys. You guys are the most incredible team on YouTube. It's your boy Neal. Out.